ባለፈው ሳምንት በተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት ጠቅላላ ጉባኤ ዩናይትድ ስቴትስና ኢትዮጵያ በስደተኞችና ፍልሰተኞች መልሶ ማቋቋምና የምጣኔ ሀብት እንቅስቃሴን ለመፍጠር አብረው ሊሰሩ መስማማታቸውን ተንተርሶ ሄኖክ ሰማዝጌር የኦባማ አስተዳደር የአፍሪካ ከፍተኛ ወኪልን አነጋግሮ የሚከተለውን ዘገባ አጠናክሯል። ወደ ዘገባው እንለፍ።
So could you tell us, in terms of Ethiopia and the Horn of Africa region, where a number of refugees really come from, creating economic opportunities, in what way is the U.S. cooperating with Ethiopia and specifically Eritrea and Somalia?
You know, Ethiopia has had some great success in dealing with improving job opportunities and education for Ethiopians. But we remain concerned about the level of human rights and concerns about the ability of individuals to express themselves. And I think if the government open up in that area, we'll see Ethiopia thrive and people will continue to contribute to that country's growth. In terms of our relations with Eritrea, we do not have a development program in Eritrea. We have an embassy there. We do a lot of public diplomacy work, but we're not doing any development assistance or other assistance in Eritrea.
And Somalia?
Somalia, we have a big program. We are not only supporting development programs where we can do development programs, but we are supporting governance. We're supporting the government of Somalia rebuilding this government so that people have confidence. I'm very proud that we have the first ambassador in 20 years, Ambassador Schwartz. Started a few months ago, and he has been working closely with the Somalia government, but also with other partners to bring Somalia back into the community of nations. And we're hopeful that in the next few weeks, Somalia will have an electoral process that people will have confidence in, and that will help them in terms of addressing the insecurity that that Al-Shabaab is engaged in, and help the AMISOM troop contributing countries work to improve security in this country so that they can develop. With insecurity, development cannot take place. Businesses are very conscious. They're going to vote for political stability before economic benefits. So they need that political stability if they're going to invest in Somalia.
And there has been street demonstrations, particularly with young people in Ethiopia in the two main regions, Amhara and Oromia. What is the U.S. position on that?
We're very worried about these. We've had very intense discussions with the government of Ethiopia at the highest levels. We have encouraged the government to address the concerns there and look for ways to provide opportunities for these young people to express their dissatisfaction and not have the kinds of violent demonstrations that we have seen happening in the past couple of months.
Now, we've covered today there were demonstrators outside, and you hear them probably in Washington, D.C. from your office.
Thousands of them demonstrate. And I think the reason we have these major demonstrations in the United States and in Europe is because people don't have an outlet inside of Ethiopia. And so they have an outlet in the United States. And demonstrations it's part of our culture to have nonviolent demonstrations to express your concerns, whether it's approval of what the government is doing or disapproval of what we're doing. And so that's part of our history, it's part of our culture, and it's something that we are extraordinarily proud of, that people can demonstrate in our country. We have had some violent demonstrations as a result of some of the police events and the killings in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think in Tulsa. There were some demonstrations, and that's also a reflection of the fact that our country still has a lot of room to grow, to address some of the concerns that a significant segment of our population, the African community,
So
African-American community has.
Aside from having a democratic exercise, they're actually criticizing the U.S., and I'm sure you've heard this in Congress also. Chris Smith is not happy with what's going on. Congressman Chris Smith in Ethiopia, he has a bill that he proposed just a couple of weeks ago. They're talking about a double standard here. Do you think that they have a point, these demonstrators and some of your lawmakers?
They don't have a point. We don't have a double standard, and it's important that people understand that we walk a fine line for policy. We walk the line between trying to work with countries to help them address their concerns and help people address their concerns. If we were not talking to the Ethiopian government about civil rights, about human rights, about press freedoms, who else would be doing it? So we have to engage with governments. I have had a number of hearings on the Hill, and we look forward to those hearings. And I look forward to hearing what advocacy groups have to say, because we do take that into account as we look at our policy. But a policy of total disengagement, a policy in which we are not talking to governments about our concern, that won't get us anywhere. We have to be able to talk to the government and address these concerns openly with governments.
And finally, on Eritrea, you have an embassy in Asmara. Could you tell us about the relationship that you have with the Eritrean government? Have you met any of the high delegation that came to the UN General Assembly? And what is your relation? Because it's a very important country in terms of sending out refugees. People are fleeing the country due to forced military
I just
service.
had a hearing that was chaired by Representative Smith on Eritrea. And what I said in that hearing is 5,000 people a month are voting with their feet. They're leaving this country because of conditions there. We do have an embassy there. Most of the work we do is public diplomacy, engaging with the population. We have a very popular American center that gets a lot of visits by Eritreans who want a window into the world outside of Eritrea, and they're able to come into our American Center for some respite from the things that they have to deal with on a daily basis. I have had some engagement with Eritrean officials. I've not met with any this time around. Some of them may be coming to Washington.
And would you meet with them?
Oh, absolutely. I've met with them before. There's no, if we don't meet with them and talk to them, we're not going to be able to engage on the important issues that we have of concern. But this time I have not so far.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.